Okay, welcome to homework 6.02 in the writing equations of lines unit. All right, so in the last homework, we were working with lines where they gave us a slope and a y-intercept. So that's where we could use our formula y equals mx plus b. All right, we found our m, we found our b, and then they got plugged into that formula. This homework's a little different because instead of giving us a y-intercept, they give us a point. So this is where we're going to have to use our point slope formula, which we saw in class last time was y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So that's kind of our formula that we're going to be using throughout this entire homework pretty much. Okay, so in class we sort of talked about a four-step process for these problems. Step one is to gather your information. So we need an m, we need an x1, we need a y1. All right, so in this one, it tells us the m. Right here, it says, write the equation of a line passing through the point -6, -13 with a slope of -3/2 in slope-intercept form. All right, so our m is -3/2. Our x1 is going to be the -6 because when you have a point, the x comes first and the y comes second. And then our y1 is going to be -13. So step one is just gathering the information you need. So m, x1, and y1. Step two is to write out the formula. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Step three is to plug things in. And this is where a lot of mistakes happen because kids are rushing and they don't see what's happening. But y1 is a -13, so that's y minus -13. Now we're never going to leave it like this. As soon as we have minus a negative, we just want to change that to plus a positive because it means we're less likely to make a mistake. Our m is -3/2, x minus -6, but again, we're not going to leave it as -6. We're just instantly going to say, all right, minus a -6 is really x plus 6. All right, so step one is to gather the information. Step two is to write the formula. Step three is to plug it in. And then step four is to solve for y. So we're going to start with some distribution. We get y plus 13 equals -3/2 x. And then again, don't be intimidated by distributing a fraction. We can do that on our calculator. All right, so we can bring out a calculator and just say, all right, that's -3/2 times 6. That gives us a -9. So I'm going to write that as -3/2 x minus 9. All right. Now I've still got to get rid of this 13. So I subtract 13 from both sides. Y equals -3/2 x minus 9. And then minus another 13 is going to be minus 22. Now, the homework doesn't require it, but as we talked about, these are really easy to check. All right, you could just go to your calculator, go to your y equals menu, and just type in -3/2 x minus 22. We're going to bring up our table, so we're going to go to second graph. And then what we want to do is we just want to make sure that our line goes through that point that it was supposed to. So the problem said it had to go through -6, -13, and when we look in the calculator, that one shows up. So we're good to go. All right, question 2. Write the equation of a line passing through the point 15, -4 with a slope of 7/3. Write your answer in y equals mx plus b form. So again, step 1, we need an m, we need an x1, and we need a y1. Okay, so the m the problem gives us, that's 7/3. The x1, just remember that the x comes first and the y comes second. So x1 is 15, y1 is -4. Step 2 is to write out our formula. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Step 3 is to plug in our information. So we've got y minus a -4, but I'm not going to leave it like that. I'm going to instantly change that to y plus 4 equals 7/3 times x minus 15. Okay. Step 4 is now to get the y by itself, so I'm going to start by distributing. So the y plus 4 just comes down. I get 7/3 x. And then again, this next one, just don't be intimidated by the fractions. Just take your calculator and say, all right, I'm going to do 7/3 times a negative 15, and I'm going to get a minus 35. So this is going to be minus 35. And then last but not least, I'm going to subtract 4, and you're going to get y equals 7/3x minus 39. Okay, so that would be your answer there. Now again, it's really quick to check these, so especially on quizzes and tests, you just go to your y equals. We're going to type in 7/3 x minus 39. We're going to go to second graph, and then we're going to look and go to the point 15. So where x is 15, negative 357. I must have typed something in wrong there. Yep, I typed in minus 392 instead of minus 39. So let's go and fix that. Minus 39, second graph. All right, now when I look at 15, yep, 15, negative 4. So that checks out, and we know that we got this one right. All right, so flipping over to the back. Write the equation of a line that passes through the points 3, negative 2, and 9, 0. Leave your answer in slope-intercept form. All right, so what's different about this problem is they're not giving us the slope. All right, that's the only difference, though. Everything else is going to follow sort of the same pattern. We're still going to need an m, an x1, and a y1. Now you're saying to yourself, but yeah, they didn't give us the m. Not an issue. We just find the m ourselves using our slope formula. So that's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So if we label our points here, here's our x1, here's our y1, here's our x2, here's our y2. So I have my points labeled. And then I can just go over here and say, all right, y2 is 0, y1 is negative 2, but when I minus a negative, it becomes plus. And then x2 is 9, x1 is 3. So I'm going to get 2 over 6. But if I math frac that, or if I try to reduce that on my calculator, that's actually going to end up being 1/3. Okay? Now, x1 and y1, I can just use 3 and negative 2. Sometimes kids ask, can I also use 9 and 0? Yeah, you can. It doesn't matter. Both will work. This one might actually be easier because you've got a 0, and zeros are usually easier to deal with. But I'm just going to stick with 3 and negative 2 because that's how I originally labeled it. So there's 3, there's negative 2. All right. So from this point on, it's exactly like the problems from the front. We have our 3 pieces of information. We're going to plug them into our formula. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right. All this information is going to come over. So y minus negative 2, but we're not going to leave it like that. We're going to change that to y plus 2 equals 1/3 times x minus 3. And then last but not least, we're going to solve for y. So we're going to start by distributing. Y plus 2 equals 1/3 x. And again, just if you're not sure about this, just do it on your calculator. But it does work out to be minus 1. And then we're going to subtract 2 from both sides and get y equals 1/3 x minus 3. Okay? Now, when you're checking a problem like this, we're still going to put it into y equals. So we're still going to go y equals. We're going to clear out what's in there. We're going to type in 1/3 x minus 3. The only difference here is you want to check to make sure both points are in there. So there's 9, 0. And now we also want to make sure that 3, negative 2 are in there. Yep. And they're both in there. So this one checks out. Right. Question 4. Write the equation of a line that passes the points -4, -2, and -7, 10. Leave your answer in y equals mx plus b form. So this is just like the one above. All right, we start with our m, our x1, and our y1. The only difference is they don't give us the m, so we have to find it ourselves. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then x1 and y1 we're just going to get from the problem. So let's take a look here. Here's our x1, here's our y1, here's our x2, here's our y2. And now it's just kind of using the formulas, plugging things in, and just taking your time to make sure you don't make any silly mistakes. So we've got 10 minus a -2. But we're not going to leave that. We're going to instantly change that to 10 plus 2 over -7 minus -4. But again, we're not going to leave that. We're going to change that to y plus 4, which gives us 12 over -3. And again, always make sure, always check to see if you can reduce, because this actually will turn into a -4, and then you don't even have to deal with a fraction there. Okay? x1 and y1 are right up there, so there's -4, there's -2. I've got my 3 pieces of information, and now I'm good to go. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. There's the formula, and things just start plugging in. So we get y minus a -2, but of course we're not going to leave that. That becomes y plus 2 equals -4 times x minus -4. I sound like a broken record, but again, we're not going to leave that. That's going to change to x plus 4. Oh, that was step 3, plugging things in. And then step 4 is just to solve for y. And in this case, we don't even have a fraction to deal with, so it's even a little easier. So -4x minus 16. Subtract 2 from both sides, and y equals -4x minus 18. Okay. Now before we circle that, let's actually check it and make sure that it's right. So we're going to go to our y equals. We're going to clear out what's in there. We're going to type in -4x minus 18. We're going to go to second graph. And then let's see, we're looking for -4 and -2. There that one is, so that's good. And we're going to look for -7, 10. There that one is, so they both check out, which means we're right, and it also means we're done with this homework. So I hope that was of some help. Have a good day.